Who's your emergency contact? Who should we notify in the case of death? Welcome to the USP, where I spent the last 2+ decades of my life. As you can see, we're on MANTIME. MANTIME, for lack of a better explanation, is just really it's common sense. Conducting yourself with integrity, being honorable, and being loyal to the people around you. I've said in a couple of my episodes that why have friends if you can't count them amongst your family? And in the penitentiary, it has to be that way. You can't just, there's associates and there's people you say hi and bye to. But if you break bread with someone, that's family. And there's a lot of people in there that's grimy. I'm not speaking for everybody that's in the penitentiary system. I'm only speaking on the few that are around me. And through this episode, I'm going to share you what MANTIME is all about. When I came out of the SHU, my homeboy Billy's running a poker table. During the summer, but the COs ran up on him, shook him down, took the stamps that he had for the poker table, and took him to his SHU. So I ended up taking his spot on the poker table. I ended up running the poker table. But he had a partner that was this white boy. His name was Joe Wells. If you remember, I mentioned that he was my first cellie in Oklahoma when I first caught the airplane going to the prison. He's a big old white boy from Florida. They tried to put him in my cell, thinking that me and him's gonna end up bumping heads. And of course, me being a little guy, that I end up getting mopped up. Because they're always trying to put me in a trick bag. But Country, we call him Country, Joe Wells, he's on MANTIME. When he came into the cell, we introduced each other. And we asked, hey, is there a problem with us being in a cell together? I didn't have any problem with him being in a cell with me. And he didn't have a problem with me being in a cell with him. And we were cellies. We were cellies for about 3 weeks before we both caught the plane going wherever we was going. I went to Lompoc and he ended up who knows where. He's still in there now. So when I come out of the SHU, I see this big old white boy walking down the walkway, but I recognize the face. I might not remember his name, but I recognize the face. So I went and tapped him on the shoulder. I said, hey, you remember me? And with his little, I don't know how to do a Florida country accent. Wow, I don't even want to pretend to do it, but he was just like, huh, who are you? I said, fool, I was your cellie over there in Oklahoma. I'll be damned. I think I got it right. I'll be damned. You was my cellie over there, So he was Billy's poker table partner. So when Billy left, me and him, he ran his poker table, I ran my poker table. But eventually, we combined our two games, because there's a bunch of people there, but there's only so many people that can keep up with the game, because when you're playing poker and the house cutting 10%, ain't too many winners at the end of the day. So we end up combining our game and being partners on the poker table. Well, we had a situation, because, we have our habits, we have our vices, and him and I decided to run a football ticket, me and Country. And we got hit pretty good. But we needed the books to keep our poker table going and our football ticket going. So Country comes to me and say, hey, I'm going to go holler at Tone. This is DC Tone, Antone White. Like the dudes from DC, they know him. He's one of the big homies out of DC. And he's home now. God bless. So he goes there. I know Tone, but we're not at this time we're not really, I don't think we're homies or friends. We just know each other through interactions, through everybody around, but there was a mutual respect between us. And the word on Tone was that every yard he goes to, whatever DC dude is claiming to be the big homie on the yard, claiming to be the shot caller for the DC, Tone approaches him and let him know, what you trying to do? This is my yard. And every yard Tone goes to, he gets the yard for the DC. You know, there's a lot of good people out there in the penitentiary. As far as, you know, we're just speaking in general. But there's men that are exceptional. And Tone is one of them. I've never heard of anything negative about him. I've never heard, there's no smear on his character. And he's willing to give his shirt off his back to anybody that needs it. But if you fuck him over, you know what it is. So anyway, so Country tells me, hey, let's go hit up Tone. He be having a lot of books and stuff because, you know, he's the big homie for the DCs and he's always into something, always making moves. So I said, what you want to do? He's like, man, I'm going to go grab a couple hundred books from Tone. So Country went over to Tone. Country's white from Florida. Tone's a black guy from DC. And we don't kick it every day. We're not drinking together. We're not eating together. We just know we have interactions through different aspects of business and stuff. But Country went over to DC Tone and said, hey, we need 200 books. Country didn't even explain to Tone what we need the 200 books for. Tone said, yeah, I have it brought out to you at lunch. At lunchtime, one of Tone's little homie come out with a few envelopes that equal up to 200 books. Tone never asked us when I'm getting my money back. And then he never asked us, okay, I want this much interest back. He just handed 200 books to us and went about his business. He's on MANTIME. He sees us out there hustling. He knows who we are. We know who he is. And there's a mutual respect. So a week, not more than 2 weeks, a week and some days later, when we got right, we didn't go back and just give Tone his 200 books. We went back and gave him 300 books. Tone didn't expect it. He didn't ask for it. But on our part, just respecting him and the help that he gave us when we needed it, we're on MANTIME, we returned the favor. Hey, man, you helped us out. We came up. We did good. Here's your cut. But you know, that's what being on MANTIME is about, is recognizing the individuals around you and being honorable in everything that you do, conducting yourself with integrity and being respectful to the people that show you love and returning the love to those that extend their hand. You know, another story with Tone. You know, everything I tell you, I just kind of give you the mentality of what men of our caliber, how we conduct ourselves. There was a white boy that came on the yard. We was in Pollock with him named Blaylock. Now, Blaylock, he's got a little money. He's from Texas. And everywhere he goes, he always runs a football ticket. You know, he's really good in that sports stuff, whatever. But he's a white boy. He live in 3B. And, you know, the white boys in 3B, most of them were on some goofy shit. You know, these are skinhead gangs or whatever, but they're on that separatist shit. Like, you're not going to talk to somebody or hang out with somebody or kick it or get to know somebody just because they're not the right tone of skin or whatever. So everything they put on TV, if there's a black guy on the show they're watching, they'll change the channel or whatever. You know, they're just on some straight up goofy shit. But Blaylock, he wants a football ticket, so he likes to watch sports. And, you know, in Atwater, you had white TV, black TV, Mexican TV, Islander TV, Native American TV, and a sports TV. But the most of the people that watch the sports TV is black dudes. So Blaylock is always at that table because he runs a football ticket, watching the sports, jotting down the scores and the odds and whatever it is that he needs to do to keep up with his booking. So the white boys try to tell Blaylock, hey man, you can't be sitting over there. And Blaylock said, what are we talking about? I'm watching sports. Because they think Blaylock's out there hanging out with blacks. But you know, Blaylock's just a little white dude, older dude, a little bit older than me. He doesn't try to pretend to be no gangster. He's just a hustler. I don't even really know his case. It might have something to do with dope. But when you see him, you see that his physical appearance or any type of appearance doesn't oppose any threat to anybody. He just trying to do his time and he hustles. So the white boy told him a couple other times that he couldn't sit over there and watch the TV. And that if they catch his ass sitting over there at the sports TV again, they're going to bust his head and run him up. Well, Blaylock's from Texas. So, of course, and he was in Beaumont with us before we all got split up. So he had a lot of dealings with blacks. And he fucked with a couple of them dudes from Texas. So he confided in them. He said, hey, man, the white boy said they're going to bust my head if I sit over here on the sports TV with you guys. Well, somebody went and got word to DC Tone. DC Tone heard about it. So he grouped up everybody and ran up on the white boys. I was like, what's up, man? What kind of fucking goofy time you guys on? You're going to go ahead and bust, because, you know, DC Tone and Blaylock, they were friends. They knew each other from Beaumont. He's like, you're going to run up and bust this dude's head for sitting at sitting at the sports TV because there's some black dudes around him? And anybody that's ever been locked up, that's been around DC Tone, they know he's a gangster. 100% on MANTIME. He don't give a fuck what race you are, what color you are, what gang you from. If he fucks with you, he fucks with you. And he don't duck no wreck. So he approached the white boy. He tell him, what you trying to do? He's just over there watching sports. Matter of fact, if that's the way you guys feel, we can all get it right now. But not only is DC Tone respected in the penitentiary, he's feared too. Because through the course of his time until he got home, he been active. He with it. And of course, these fake ass dudes, these skinheads, these dude boys that think they're fucking separatists and all that shit, didn't want no piece of DC Tone or any of the conflict, because they know in their hearts of hearts that they're wrong and that they were just trying to punk this little white boy because he looks like a little white boy. You know, he's not a threat. But also, there's always envy and jealousy that comes into play, because these racist ass dudes, they sit in their little bubble, hating on everybody else, but broke, don't got nothing, because they're not willing to go outside the circle and deal and build relationship and rapport. So they sit there miserable with their hate, but they want to project and inflict their hate and impose their hate on all the other white dudes around them. But they fucked up, you know, and they got punked. They got punked by DC Tone. They thought they was tough until Tone walked up on them. You know, there was a big old thing. They came out to the yard, cried to the homie, cried to my poker partner, Country, Joe Wells. And Joe told him, you know, and he told him the same thing. Country told him the same thing. Hey, man, leave that motherfucker alone. He ain't done nothing. He ain't done no wrong. He ain't caused no harm. So what I'm trying to emphasize is that our mentality right here, and this is all courtesy of Al and Pro Se Apparel, that politics are for do boys, to keep them from getting their homies and their car in a wreck. Because if you're on MANTIME, the politics don't apply to you for the simple fact that you're going to know how to conduct yourself, that you're going to follow the rules, that you're going to stick to the code, that nobody needs to babysit you because you already know what to do and how to conduct yourself. This is MANTIME. We don't violate kids. We don't violate women. And we don't tell on people. Welcome to the USP.